Welcome to the Josh Madden Show. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the ongoing Antonio Brown saga with the Oakland Raiders and just how strange of an offseason leading into a season it's been. First off, we heard before training camp, all this has started happening, that he got frostbite on his feet. He had some sort of issue with a cryotherapy machine, and it burned his feet up pretty good, and he hasn't been able to practice well. Also recently, he's filed a couple grievances with the NFL regarding his helmet, the Shut Air Pro, that he has used his entire career. The NFL has said that it's not a safe helmet. A third party has tested this helmet multiple times, and they can't agree that it's a safe enough helmet for him to wear up to the current regulations that were agreed upon by the NFL and the NFLPA. So Antonio Brown is basically trying to say that he's worn this helmet his whole career. He's never really had any injury history. Why should he have to change his helmet when he's comfortable in his helmet? Just today, he filed his second grievance, basically stating that he hasn't got the same grace period that other stars have had when they've had to replace their helmets, such as Tom Brady. He got over a year notice that his helmet wouldn't be allowed, so he had time to find a new one that he liked. This is just such a strange story, and I know it's kind of a dead time in the NFL in terms of stories, but I mean, this thing is just weird. Having frostbite on your feet is one thing, it's an accident, those kind of things happen, but having this big of an issue with your helmet is strange. I think Antonio Brown is great. You can't argue that he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, if not the very best. I mean, just since 2013, he hasn't had a season below 1,000 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns, and over 100 receptions in that stretch. That's incredible. That's over 6 years of just great football. And where he goes, he wins. He's a valuable wide receiver. And we know that wide receivers can be divas and still mean a lot to their team. Guys like Terrell Owens, Randy Moss, those guys were great for their teams but had some off-the-field issues. But this is just strange. This doesn't seem like it's a battle worth fighting up into the season. You know, he's on a new team. The Raiders went out and got him, invested a lot in him. They want him to be a huge part of this offense, especially John Gruden trying to prove something this year, and he's not there. He's missing practices. He's missing camp. And the Raiders GM Mike Mayock came out and said recently that it's time for him to be in or out. They've invested a lot in him. They want to see some production. They want to get some return on their investment. And I think if you're Antonio Brown, at some point you just have to suit up and play. I get that he likes his helmet. He wants to wear it. He's been using this helmet for a long time, but this just doesn't seem like a battle that's worth fighting at this point. You have to stand up and fight for what you believe in. I understand that the Raiders have supported that, but it's about football and playing football games and winning football games. And there's no doubt that Antonio Brown would help this team win games when they desperately need to. The Raiders haven't been great in a couple of years now, and they desperately need a spark on offense to help them out. Derek Carr has looked mediocre. Just a few years ago, people thought that he was going to be the next big thing at the quarterback position, and he's just looked average. So Antonio Brown would assuredly help the Raiders' offense, especially just in the passing game, and also just being something for other defenses to look at to open up the running game potentially with their rookie Josh Jacobs. Antonio Brown, he's got to make his decision what he's going to do. He's either going to miss games or he's not. And we're into the third week of the preseason now. The time to make a decision is upon us, and he has to step up and do what he's going to do before it's too late. Because if he starts missing games, there's no doubt the Raiders would fine him, and it would just become a bigger mess than it already is. You see other players are holding out. Ezekiel Elliott, Melvin Gordon are holding out, but they're holding out for bigger contracts in a position that gets more damage than anything else. I mean, the running back position, you get beat up and you don't make it very long in the NFL. So holding out and trying to get a bigger contract is redeemable, and a lot of people support that. And Antonio Brown, he's just trying to wear a different helmet. It's just causing unnecessary distractions for a team that already has a bunch of distractions. Being on Hard Knocks is a huge distraction. It's been reported that John Gruden didn't even want to be on Hard Knocks. The league chose him. And you don't get on Hard Knocks by being a good team. You just have to be interesting, and the Raiders are definitely interesting, but for the wrong reasons. This season should be a season that they just need to focus on winning. They've got some interesting rookies, Jonathan Abram, Cleveland Farrell, obviously Josh Jacobs at the running back position. they have a young team that can be pretty good in the coming years. They just need the veterans that they went out and signed to make a difference. And Antonio Brown, can't make a difference if he's not playing in the games. Derek Carr needs somebody like Antonio Brown to come in and be kind of his safety blanket. Somebody like a better version of Amari Cooper that he had a few years ago in his career that helped him a lot. And just being on Hard Knocks is strange in and of itself because you see everything kind of through rose-colored glasses. It happens all the time. You watch the team on Hard Knocks, you think that they're going to be the best team. I just don't see it with the Raiders. I don't think this is their year. That division's really tough. The Kansas City Chiefs are obviously great with Patrick Mahomes and their high-powered offense. The Chargers, even though they have some injuries right now on defense, are still really good. Their offense is really powerful as well. The Raiders have an uphill climb, regardless if everybody was there and everybody was participating. And now arguably their best player is sitting out because of a helmet issue. This season isn't looking good for the Raiders. If I was a betting man, I would bet the under on a lot of the Raiders win totals. We didn't see much from John Gruden last year in terms of this big change that was supposed to happen. I mean, he got a 10-year huge contract, and he's supposed to bring some change to the Raiders, which you see the start of it. But if his big star player that they went out and signed this offseason isn't available for him, it's going to hurt them in the long run, and they need him to make a difference on this team. It has talent. They have some young talented wide receivers even. Just Keelan Doss has looked good. Hunter Renfrow is awesome. I liked him a lot coming out of college. He's one of those guys that has a high motor. He's going to give you 110% every game. He's not the most physically gifted, but he's going to go out there and be a dog and make all those tough catches and just be a ball hawk and somebody that can be reliable for them. But you have to have that deep threat. You have to have that big name wide receiver that you went out and spent so much money on. You have to have him in your offense if you're going to get the production that you need to be successful, especially in that division with a lot of high-powered offenses. And I don't know. I just don't see the Raiders being that great this year. I just don't. If you have any opinions on the subject, leave it in the comments below. I'd love to have a discussion. Thanks for tuning into the first episode of the Josh Madden Show. I know this is a little rough around the edges. This is my first video, so if you have any suggestions to make better quality videos in the future, please let me know. I'm very open to feedback. I'm trying to grow and learn every time I make one of these, so definitely any kind of constructive criticism would be appreciated. And thank you for tuning in. See you guys.